We will give a brief summary of the circumstantial evidence supporting the ordinary belief in the Mosaic authorship of the Pentateuch. It is important to define the term. By it we do not mean that Moses wrote all the Pentateuch with his own hand, or that there were no editorial additions made after his death. Moses was the author of the Pentateuchal Code, as Napoleon was of the code which goes under his name. Apparently, the book of Genesis is largely made up from existing documents, of which the history of the expedition of Amraphel in chapter 14 is a noted specimen, while the account of Moses' death, and a few other passages are evidently later editorial additions. But these are not enough to affect the general proposition. The Mosaic authorship of the Pentateuch is supported by the following, among other weighty considerations. 1. The Mosaic era was a literary epoch in the world's history when such codes were common. It would have been strange if such a leader had not produced a code of laws. The Tel El Amarna tablets and the Code of Hammurabi testify to the literary habits of the time. 2. The Pentateuch so perfectly reflects the conditions in Egypt at the period assigned to it, that it is difficult to believe that it was a literary product of a later age. 3. Its representation of life in the wilderness is so perfect and so many of its laws are adapted only to that life that it is incredible that literary men 1,000 years later could have imagined it. 4. The laws themselves bear indubitable marks of adaptation to the stage of national development to which they are ascribed. It was the study of Maine's works on ancient law that set Mr. Harold Marcus Wiener out upon his reinvestigation of the subject. 5. The little use that is made of the sanctions of a future life is, as Bishop Warburton ably argued, evidence of an early date and of a peculiar divine effort to guard the Israelites against the contamination of Egyptian ideas upon the subject. 6. The omission of the hen from the lists of clean and unclean birds is incredible, if these lists were made late in the nation's history, after that domestic fowl had been introduced from India. 7. As Reverend Andrew Craig Robinson showed in Volume 7 of the Fundamental Series, it is incredible that there should have been no intimation in the Pentateuch of the existence of Jerusalem, or of the use of music in the liturgy, nor any use of the phrase, Lord of Hosts, unless the compilation had been completed before the time of David. 8. The subordination of the miraculous elements in the Pentateuch to the critical junctures in the nation's development is such as could be obtained only in genuine history. 9. The whole representation conforms to the true law of historical development. Nations do not rise by virtue of inherent resident forces, but through the struggles of great leaders enlightened directly from on high, or by contact with others who have already been enlightened. The defenders of the Mosaic authorship of the Pentateuch have no occasion to quail in presence of the critics who deny the authorship and discredit its history. We may boldly challenge their scholarship, deny their conclusions, resent their arrogance, and hold on to our confidence in the well-authenticated historical evidence which sufficed for those who first accepted it. Those who now at second hand are popularizing in periodicals, Sunday school lessons, and volumes of greater or less pretensions the errors of these critics must answer to their consciences as best they can, but they should be made to feel that they assume a heavy responsibility in putting themselves forward as leaders of the blind, when they themselves are not able to see.